Welcome to Hike Point of Sale. In this video, we'll be covering how to integrate Deputy into Hike. Now, Hike offers a built-in integration with Deputy, which is a human resources management platform. And activating this integration will allow you a seamless data sync between Hike as your point of sale software over to Deputy. By pairing Hike with Deputy, you can forego laborious manual data entry, and the sync will basically provide precise, accurate data from Hike over to your Deputy account. As part of this integration, the sync will pass over any user information that's created in Hike, roster information that's been entered in, as well as sales totals that have been processed by each user, which allows you to manage all this information within Deputy from there. Now, just before we begin with activating the Deputy integration, the one thing to note is that the data flow is going to be directly from Hike to Deputy as a one-way integration. You can't edit data in Deputy and send it back to Hike. This is a limitation in the API setup through Deputy. So it's a very simple process. You need to just ensure that you've got your login details for Deputy. And once you've got that done, all you need to do is select the Activate button in the Deputy area here by going to your Hike Store's Store Setup and Integrations area. Scrolling down to the bottom will get you to the Deputy integration, and you simply need to select the Activate button. Once you select this button, it's going to redirect you over to the Deputy login screen, where if you enter in your username and password details and select Login, you'll come over to this screen where it will say Hike is requesting access to your Deputy data, and all you need to do is select the Authorize button. Once this is done, it'll take a few seconds to get through to the connection area, and now you'll reach this Deputy integrations management screen. So the only things we need to do is to map the location settings. So if you have multiple Hike outlets, you have to map them over to the Deputy location as required. So in this case, we'll just have your standard Deputy Hike location. And below here, you'll have your sync settings as what data you want to send through to Deputy. So you can select the sync users to Hike with the employee list in Deputy. So this is going to send the users that are in Hike over to the employee list. Now you can also activate the option to manually sync the Hike roster over to Deputy. And on top of that, you can select the option to send the sales totals. Now if you select the sales transaction totals to Deputy, there's also an option to not send any parked or lay-by orders. So it would only send the totals when the sale's been completed. From there, all you need to do is select the Continue button. And for the first time sync, it's going to ask you whether or not you want to sync your users and your sales details, and also the sales sync date. So if we backdate this by a month or so, just so we can get some sales data from Hike over to your Deputy platform. And then from there, you simply select the Save and Sync Now button. This is going to trigger the sync process in order to send this data over to Deputy. Now if you do need to reach the Deputy management area again, you can go to the Deputy area here, and you can see that the Activate button is now replaced with a Manage button. And selecting this will bring up the Deputy details once again. Now if you add additional Deputy locations in Deputy, these will update automatically here. So if you do add additional locations in Hike as well, you can map them through accordingly. Now if we close this back out, the next thing we want to do is to sync over your roster data. Now, roster data can only be synced manually. You can't trigger an automatic sync, and this is again a limitation of the API setup. In order to do this, all we need to do is to go over to the users area of your Hike store and then select the roster. Now for the purposes of this video, we've created some demonstration roster data inside this Hike store already. But if you do require further assistance on how the rostering system works within Hike, please select the Learn button here on the top right hand side and follow our support article on how to manage rosters. So all we need to do from here is to select this button here, which is to sync this roster with Deputy. And by selecting this, this will open up a new window, and it will give you options as how to sync this data over. So if we select this drop down, these are the default options that are available within your deputy area. So you can choose where you want to sync this data through depending on what areas you've defined within deputy. So again, John will mark it down as an administrator and Tess will mark it down as a manager. So all we need to do is now select the save and publish button. And this is going to sync the data over to deputy. Next, we want to be able to check the administration area in deputy just to see that the data has synced through. So in order to do this, we go over and log into your deputy store. And from there, you simply need to select the people area. And as we can see, on top of the standard user that's created, our users that have been sent through from Hike are now available in the deputy area. On top of that, we can also select the schedule area. And as we can see, the data that we've entered in for the rostering information is now appearing in the schedule for the deputy area. So you can continue to add data over in Hike and sync that across. Please note that the data that syncs across from Hike is a one-way sync, so any edits that you make in deputy from here won't sync back across through to Hike. Now the last thing we want to test is to make sure that the sales totals are syncing over for the users over to deputy. So the first thing we've done is we've switched users over to John S, which is one of the users that was synced over to deputy. And from there, what we want to do is to go over to the point of sales area and go over to the sales history quickly. So we've created a test sale here already, which is synced over to 47.85. And if we change over to our deputy area, we can see here in the sales area, there's been a price listed here and the actual is 47.85. So that's been synced through already. And what we'll do is we'll simply create another sale here as well, just to double check that everything's working. So by doing this, we go over to the point of process sale area and we'll add another 2 items of this backpack, which will add an additional $95.70. We'll finalize the sale quickly. And from there, the sale's been completed. So if we go over to the sales history here, we'll see that the new sale has been listed here. And if we select this sync button on the right hand side, we can see here that the Hike information has been synced over to deputy. So if we go over to deputy now, and we'll refresh this page quickly, we'll see that the sales amount should get updated accordingly. So we can see here that the sales now totals $143.55. And we can also go to the View Business Insights and go to the sales metric. And we can see here that the pricing matches up with the sales that have been occurring in your Hike store. So we confirm that everything is working here now. If you require further details, as mentioned earlier, you can always select the Learn button in any of your Hike pages in order to go over to the relevant support article. Alternatively, you can also select the Need Help button on the top right here, and either select the Chat with Support option, which will connect you through to our 24/7 chat support team, or submit a ticket as required. Thank you for your time.